The life of a blood angel is full of whispers and pain. I remember the first time I drank blood that carried memories not my own. The taste was sharp and metallic, and suddenly I saw visions, images of someone's death from 10,000 years ago. Some nights, the ceiling of my cell turns red, and I see wings that aren't really there. My brothers feel it too, but we don't talk about it. One by one, the black rage takes us. One by one, we lose ourselves to the endless thirst for blood. I am Brother Sergeant Darren Vale of the Blood Angels, 3rd Company, 6th Tactical Squad. I have served the Emperor for 217 years. I have fought across worlds turned to ash, faced the green tide of the orcs, and destroyed chaos wherever it tried to grow. I have lived while many of my brothers have died. But some deaths start long before the body stops breathing. The Black Rage is one of those deaths. We, the sons of Sanguinius, carry a curse. It runs through our blood, a shadow of our Primarch's last moments when he faced the traitor Horus. It calls to us in whispers, showing us his pain and death. It takes us one by one, driving us mad. Some say it is our fate. Maybe they are right. I have tried to fight it. I have hidden it, even as I led my squad into battle. But it grows stronger every day. I see wings that aren't there. I taste blood that hasn't been spilled. I hear the screams of Sanguinius as he dies again and again in my mind. This is my confession, my story, the tale of my final campaign and my fall into the madness. Let my words be a warning. The line between devotion and damnation is thinner than you think. We came to the moon Pertitus Secundus, not to save it, but to destroy it for the Imperium. The Tyranids had already taken it. The hive mind had wrapped around the colony, feeding on its life. Our mission was simple: deny the enemy its prize, burn everything, leave nothing behind but rock and ash. Our drop pods fell from the sky like burning stars. I led my squad, 10 blood angels in crimson armor, each one a warrior, each one cursed like me. Captain Amalphus said the mission would take 3 weeks. Plant the charges, blow up the moon's core, and leave. But he was wrong. The Tyranids were more than we expected. What should have been a short mission became a long, bloody war. And with every battle, I felt the madness inside me grow. We entered the ruins of the mining colony. The air was thick with spores and the stench of death. The ground was slippery with alien slime and what was left of humans. We could barely see 20 meters ahead. Our Vox signals were weak, cut by the psychic storm of the hive mind. Still, I gave my orders. Brother Theron, take point. Brother Malachi, guard the flank. Keep 5 meters apart. Move toward the main shaft. The shaft was a huge pit, 3 kilometers deep. The Tyranids had turned it into a digestion pool, breaking down everything they had consumed. Our task was to place melta charges around it to cause a chain reaction that would destroy the entire complex. We moved carefully, weapons ready. The usual chittering of small Tyranids was gone. The silence was worse. It pressed on my mind like a heavy weight. Movement ahead, Brother Theron said through the Vox. Multiple targets, moving in formation. How big? I asked, signaling everyone to take cover. Larger than Hormagaunts, warrior forms, at least 8. Then I felt a tremor, but not in the ground. It was in my mind, a flash of someone else's memory, of a great ship, of the War Master's terrible presence, and pain as a talon pierced the chest. I forced it away, breathing hard. Hold position, I ordered. Let them come. Fire on my mark. They came out of the mist, tall, armored, monstrous. 8 Tyranid warriors followed by waves of smaller creatures. For the Emperor and Sanguinius, I shouted, and opened fire. The sound of bolters filled the air. Explosions of gore followed as shells tore through armor and flesh. 2 warriors fell, a third burned by plasma fire. But they kept coming. The smaller ones rushed forward, endless, throwing themselves at us to drain our ammo. "Stand fast," I yelled. "Grenades! Then prepare for close combat." The grenades exploded, killing dozens, but more replaced them. Then they reached us. My chainsword roared to life, its teeth tearing through alien bodies. I moved like a machine, every strike perfect, every motion trained through centuries of war. A talon scraped my armor, trying to pierce my neck. I spun, fired my bolter pistol, and blew its face apart. Theron fought beside me, his power sword flashing blue light as it cut through limbs and torsos. Malachi fired his heavy bolter, mowing down waves of smaller creatures. But they just kept coming. The Tyranids never feared, never hesitated. They simply killed, consumed, and returned stronger. "Sergeant Vale!" Raphael shouted through the noise. "They're flanking us!" I turned and saw 3 larger warriors moving fast toward Causius, whose plasma gun was overheating. "Theron! Malachi! Hold the line! Raphael! Lazarus! With me!" We moved through the ruins, firing as we went. 1 warrior fell under our shots, its head and chest torn apart. The other 2 kept coming, firing their bioplasma weapons. 1 hit Lazarus. The acid burned through his armor and into his flesh. His screams filled my helmet before the line went dead. I saw his vitals spike, then stop. The rage inside me broke free. My vision turned red. I felt my heart pound like a drum. The bloodlust rose like a wave, drowning my thoughts. I saw wings again, burning, golden wings, and for a moment I thought I was him, our Primarch, dying at Horus's hand. I screamed and charged. My chainsword cut through the nearest warrior, ripping it apart in a storm of blood and fury. The second struck me with its talons, but I barely felt it. Pain was nothing now, only rage, only the thirst. When the battle ended, I was covered in alien blood. My armor was cracked. Half my squad was dead. The rest looked at me with fear in their eyes. They knew what they had seen, the madness, the curse. I could not hide it anymore. The whispers were loud now. The wings were clearer. I could taste the blood of a Primarch in my mouth, though none was there. I knew my time was almost over, but I would fight until the end. This is how a blood angel dies, not with peace, but with fire, fury, and thirst. Not as a man, but as a monster pretending to still serve the Emperor. The warrior in front of me shifted shape and, for a moment, looked like one of the sons of Horus. Brother Sergeant Raphael snapped me back to the moment. "Your orders?" he asked. I pushed the hallucination away and focused. "Concentrate fire on the wounded one. Bring it down." We poured everything into the damaged warrior until its carapace buckled. When it fell, I charged the last creature. My chain sword roared. The warrior met me with frightening speed. Its talons crashed against my blade. We fought in the tight ruins where one mistake meant death. Its tail struck my leg and dented the armor. I stumbled but stayed standing. I swung my chainsaw and cut off a smaller limb. The creature screamed, not a sound for the ears, but a scream that struck the mind. In that moment, the red veil came down. I didn't see the alien. I saw the warp spawn Naster in armor covered with the marks of chaos. A voice slipped into my head. "You failed him, Blood Angel. You will fail your brothers. The thirst will take you all." "No," I roared. I didn't know why the word ripped out of me. With pure rage, I drove my chainsaw into the creature. The teeth chewed through its organs. I was sprayed with ichor as it died. When it stopped moving, Brother Raphael looked at me, helmet tilted like he wanted to ask a question he would not say. "The Emperor protects," I said, the ritual words I used to hide my fear. "Return to the main group. We move on." I couldn't tell him about the whispers or the visions. If I admitted that, he would know the red thirst had started. That would end more than the mission. We rejoined our squad. Brother Lazarus was dead. Our apothecary had already taken his gene seed. Brother Cassius was wounded but alive. His armor was patched. The others were hurt but could still fight. "The shaft entrance is 200 meters ahead," I told them, pulling up the tactical display. "Intelligence shows heavier resistance near the objective. The hive mind knows this place is valuable." Brother Sergeant Theron spoke quietly on our private channel. "The men need rest. We've been fighting for 17 hours. Even our bodies have limits." He was right. The rational part of me agreed. But another part wanted battle, wanted the taste of violence. I gave them 30 minutes. 30 minutes, I ordered. "Raphael and Malachi, first watch. The rest maintain weapons and armor. The Emperor expects nothing less." They worked fast. I moved where I could watch them and the approach. I took off my helmet to breathe the poisoned air. It smelled of rot and alien corruption, but it cleared the edges of the visions. I drew a vial of red liquid from my armor. The priests had made it, a thirst suppressant. It was weak medicine, but it helped. I only had 3 doses left. Brother Theron watched me. I felt his eyes. He may not have known everything, but he suspected something. I drank the bitter liquid in one swallow. The red haze eased. I put my helmet on again and used the private box. "All concerns?" "None, Sergeant," Theron replied after a pause. "Only ensuring the squad is fit." He chose diplomacy. Better that than facing the truth. 30 minutes passed. We moved again. The ruins became denser as we neared the central shaft. The Tyranids had changed the buildings into living things. Walls pulsed and oozed. The entrance to the shaft was a wound in the rock ringed with alien growths. Our scanners showed many life signs near the opening. "Configuration?" I asked. "Confused," Raphael answered. "Many forms seem to occupy the same space." "A curse word," I said. "Gene stealers. They're the vanguard. Fast, silent, deadly. They'll be near the objective." "Standard purge formation," I ordered. "Malachi, anchor with the heavy bolter. Theron and Raphael flank. The rest advance in staggered 5-meter spacing. Flamers ready." We approached with care. The entrance loomed like a mouth. Then the gene stealers struck, fast and sudden. 6 of them burst out, a blur of purple-blue armor and razor claws. Cassius fired his flamer and hit one mid-leap. It shrieked and burned. I fired my bolt pistol. Mass reactive rounds tore through one creature's torso, but it kept coming, driven by the hive mind. Malachi's heavy bolter cut down another. Theron cut a lunging gene stealer in half with his power sword. I faced one close up, its face a nightmare of fangs and sensory organs. It moved like a hunter, looking for weak points. My chainsaw hummed. The gene stealer lunged. Its claws searched for joints and gaps. I parried, my chainsaw tearing into its hardened limb. It hissed and used other limbs to grapple me, trying to bite my helmet. It pushed me back. I fired my bolt pistol point blank. The top of its head exploded. Its body went limp. Behind me I heard a cry. The last gene stealer had caught Cassius and lifted him. It sunk needle teeth into his neck. The red veil snapped over me completely. Reason vanished. The thirst and rage took over. I was no longer Sergeant Darren Vale. I was something older, primal. I do not remember everything that followed. I remember the teeth of my chainsaw shredding the creature and ichor splashing my faceplate. I remember screams, some alien, some horribly human. When I came back to myself, the Gene Stealer lay dismembered. My armor was slick with its fluids. Brother Cassius lay on the ground, his helmet off, pale and bleeding. Our apothecary, Brother Raphael, worked hard to stabilize him with stimulants and field dressings. The squad formed a ring around us. Their faces said what they could not speak. They had seen the berserker fury take me, the first clear sign of the Black Rage. Brother Sergeant Theron came up slowly, his bolter not quite aimed at me. He asked, "Are you with us?" His words meant more than asking if I was alive. He asked if I was still their sergeant, or if the rage had claimed me. I forced steadiness into my voice. "I am with you, Brother Theron. The Emperor protects." He hesitated, then nodded. "Cassius may live, but he can't continue the mission. Apothecary says evacuate." "Negative," I said. My voice left no room for argument. "We can't spare men to escort him. He can't travel alone through this area. He stays with us until we finish the objective, then we extract as a unit." He did not argue. He had the right to, but doing so would break command at a critical moment. He accepted the order and took his position. With Cassius temporarily stable, we moved into the shaft entrance. Inside, the tunnel walls breathed. Lights glowed on the pulsing walls. The central shaft opened up, a vast vertical space filled with organic growth, and far below, a churning pool of living matter, the digestion pool. We secured ourselves on a maintenance gantry and prepared to place the melter charges where the shaft would collapse and destroy the tyrannid biomass. We began to descend the corroded ladders. The metal was weak, rungs broke under our weight, and we caught ourselves on stronger sections. The hive mind's psychic pressure grew as we neared the heart of its operations. The visions came stronger, the corridors of the vengeful spirit, the War Master, sanguineous dying, betrayal, and pain. My grip faltered on the ladder, but I steadied. "Proceed to your positions," I ordered, forcing my voice steady. We separated and moved into place. Each of us carrying the weight of what was to come. The levels were marked for each of us to place our charges. My spot was the lowest one, closest to the terrible digestion pool. When I reached the final platform, only 30 meters above the churning pit, the smell hit me like a weapon. It was so strong that even my armor's filters couldn't block it. Below me, the pool bubbled and frothed. It was made of melted bodies, half-dissolved flesh, and strange alien fluids that broke everything down into food for the hive fleet. The sight was enough to make even a space marine sick. I moved carefully, making no noise. One wrong sound could alert the creatures below. I took the melted charge from its case, a small but powerful explosive. It could destroy the whole section of this hive structure. I began to arm it, hands steady from years of training. That's when I heard it. Not through my ears, but inside my head. "Son of Sanguinius," it whispered. The voice was many voices at once, 1,000 minds speaking together. "We taste your fear. We taste your rage. It calls to us." I froze. The charge was half-armed in my hands. This was no normal enemy. This was the hive mind, or one of its psychic leaders, powerful enough to reach directly into my thoughts. "Your kind fascinates us," the voice said again, slithering through my mind. "You hunger, you consume, you evolve, just as we do. You are not so different from us." "Silence, alien filth," I hissed. I forced my hands to keep working on the charge, but deep down I couldn't deny it. The red thirst, the black rage, the curse within all sons of Sanguinius was a hunger too. A hunger for blood, for battle, for something we could never satisfy. In that way, maybe we were alike. "We could help you," the hive mind offered. "We could fix your flaw. Join with us, and you will never hunger again." For one terrible moment, I was tempted to stop the endless struggle, to never feel the thirst again. Many of my brothers had fallen to it, lost to madness and death. Maybe surrender would bring peace. But then I remembered my oath. I remembered Sanguinius, the angel who had died fighting evil, not joining it. I remembered my brothers, my emperor. "For the emperor and the angel!" I roared, slamming the final seal on the Milta charge. It beeped once. 10 minutes to detonation. The voice inside me turned from temptation to rage. "You will die here, blood angel. Your body will feed the hive. Your mind will serve us." The pool below churned violently. Shadows moved within it, shapes forming, growing, climbing. Tyranids. They were being born before my eyes, their bodies twisting into shapes made to hunt me. "Charges set. Begin withdrawal," I voxed to my team. "Confirmed," came Theron's voice, but another, Septimus, did not answer. "Brother Septimus, report." Only static replied. Then came a horrible wet gurgle, the sound of someone choking on their own blood. "Ambushed! Gina Stealers! The charge is set, but I will not make it!" Then silence. His signal went flat. Another brother gone. Another name for the Book of the Fallen. I climbed fast, my armor's strength pushing me upward. Below, I heard claws scraping and alien screeches. The Tyranids were following me, climbing up the walls like insects. "Brother Malachi," I voxed, "prepare to cover me." "Understood," he answered. When I reached the upper platform, his heavy bolter was already roaring. Explosive shells shredded the Tyranids climbing the shaft, sending them crashing back down into the darkness. I joined the fight, firing my pistol beside my brothers. "How long until detonation?" Theron shouted over the gunfire. 7 minutes, I replied. "The main entrance will be a trap. The Hive knows what we're doing." He was right. I could feel it, the hive mind shifting its forces to stop us. We take the secondary exit, the maintenance tunnel. It's tight, but less guarded. We moved out in formation, carrying Brother Cassius, who was badly wounded but still firing. The tunnel was narrow and low, forcing us to crouch as we moved. It was hot, filled with dust and spores that even our filters couldn't block completely. "Rear guard, Malachi," I ordered. "Theron, take point. Protect Cassius. Move fast." We had gone about 200 meters when Theron spoke again. "Movement ahead. Multiple contacts." 5 minutes until detonation, I said. "We can't stop. If they block us, we cut through." Shapes appeared around the curve of the tunnel. Not Tyranids, but humans twisted into monsters. The colonists of this moon, changed by Gina-stealer infection. Their faces were still partly human, which made their horror worse. They saw us and charged, moving too fast to be normal men. "In the Emperor's name, purge the unclean!" I shouted. My pistol barked, dropping the first 3. Theron's bolter joined in, blasting apart more of them. But they kept coming, climbing over their dead. Some had claws, some had mining tools. They filled the tunnel like a wave of flesh. Behind us, more Tyranids were coming. We were trapped between both sides. "Hostiles from behind," Malachi called. 30 seconds! 3 minutes left. We wouldn't reach safety in time. "Brothers," I said calmly, "the mission comes before all. The charges must go off. The hive must be denied." They understood instantly. A Space Marine's life meant nothing compared to victory. "Theron, Raphael, Malachi, go! Clear a path. The rest of us hold here." Theron started to protest, but I stopped him. "That's an order, brother. Someone must live to report our success. Go." He hesitated, then nodded. "It has been an honor, Sergeant Vale." And to me, I said, "Ave Imperator!" They fought their way forward, bolters blazing. The rest of us formed a last line, back to back. "For Sanguinius and the Emperor!" I shouted. "For the Emperor!" they roared. The hybrids crashed into us. My chainsword roared, tearing through their pale bodies. Each kill was a prayer, each swing a promise. Brother Nemeus fell, a mining pick punching through his helmet. Cassius, bleeding and weak, fought on his knees until his bolter dried. Right. 2 minutes, I saw on my display. Then came the pressure again, the hive mind pushing into my thoughts. I saw flashes of memory that weren't mine. Golden walls, the Imperial Palace, Sanguinius facing Horus, and the moment the angel knew his brother was lost. "Horus," I whispered. Then I raised my chainsword once more and charged into the swarm, ready to die as my angel had, defiant, unbroken, and faithful to the end. The name felt bitter on my tongue. A vision hit me so hard it took my breath away. I was no longer Brother Sergeant Darren Vale fighting in a dark tunnel. I was Sanguinius, the great angel himself, facing the War Master Horus aboard the ship Vengeful Spirit. The twisted hybrid monsters in front of me changed. Their faces became Horus's. Once the Emperor's beloved son, now the greatest traitor. Rage filled me. Pain burned through me. I charged forward, roaring, not caring about my chainsword or my armor. I only wanted to kill, to destroy the one who had betrayed us all. I didn't hear my brothers shouting over the Vox. I didn't feel the cuts and blows hitting my armor. There was only the rage, the black rage. The curse of my bloodline had finally taken me completely. 1 minute to detonation. Through the red haze in my mind, I realized I had rushed far ahead, deep into the crowd of hybrids. I had broken formation, left my brothers behind. That was against everything I had been trained to do, but I couldn't stop. "Brother Sergeant!" A weak voice came through the fury. It was Brother Cassius. His life sign was fading on my display. The tunnel was collapsing. The charges had gone off too early. Somewhere deep inside my mind, a calm part of me understood what was happening. Maybe the Tyranids had found the explosives, or maybe the alien atmosphere had damaged the timers. It didn't matter. Death was coming, but the rage didn't care. The first blast shook the tunnel. Rocks and metal fell from above. The hybrids stopped fighting, turning as if they too could sense the danger. I used their hesitation to kill 3 more with my combat knife. My armor was covered in blood, alien and mine together, turning it from red to black. A second explosion hit closer, throwing dust everywhere. Warning lights flashed inside my helmet. Structural failure. The tunnel would not last much longer. Then another voice cut through. "Brother Sergeant, the extraction point is lost. Heavy Tyranid presence. We're cut off." It was Theron. I tried to reply, to give one last order, but the rage had my voice. Only a roar escaped me. The third and final explosion came. The main Melta charge went off, and the whole tunnel collapsed behind me. My brothers, the hybrids, the Tyranids, everything was buried. The shockwave threw me forward. My armor's systems crashed. For a few seconds, there was only darkness. When I came back to myself, I was in a small part of the tunnel still standing, but ready to fall. The hybrids were gone or dead. I was alone. I rose to my feet, my armor helping my broken body move. Pain warnings flashed all over my display. Holes in the plates, torn muscle, broken bones. I ignored them. Pain meant nothing. Death meant nothing. Only the mission mattered. The tunnel was half collapsed, but I pushed on. Each step hurt. Each breath drew dust and poison into my lungs. Time stopped meaning anything. My clock was broken, and the flickering lights gave no sense of day or night. At last, I reached the surface. The world was gone. Where once there had been a mining colony, there was now a huge crater. Our explosives had worked too well, destroying not only the target, but much of the land around it. For a moment, I felt a grim pride. The mission was a success. The Tyranids had lost one of their feeding pits. The High Fleet would be weaker, if only a little. Then, I saw movement. Across the ruined land, shapes were crawling out of the rubble. Tyranids, still alive, reforming, ready to attack again. They turned toward me. I checked my gear. My pistol was empty. My knife was damaged. No grenades, no heavy weapons. Only the rage. The Tyranids moved closer. The black rage surged again. Memories that weren't mine filled my head. Sanguinius facing Horus, the Emperor's dream dying. I stopped fighting the vision. I let it take me. If I was to die here, I would die as a true son of Sanguinius. The first Tyranid reached me, a small one, missing an arm. I rushed forward and stabbed it through the gut. It screamed and died. More came, small gaunts, twisted hybrids, all circling me. I fought like a man already dead. I didn't defend, I only attacked. When my knife broke, I used my fists, rocks, even the claws of the dead. I lost track of time. The battle became everything. When it ended, I stood surrounded by corpses. My armor was shattered. The air leaked through the cracks, burning my lungs. My blood mixed with theirs on the ground. The rage finally faded. Pain and exhaustion took its place. I knew the truth. I would die here. But I didn't fear death. I had walked beside it for 200 years. What troubled me was the way it would happen. The black rage had claimed me. There would be no return, no peace. Normally, those taken by the rage were gathered into the death company, painted in black, led by a chaplain, allowed to die with honor. I would have no chaplain, no brothers, no guidance, only the rage. Unless I chose differently. I reached into a pocket on my armor. Inside was a small vial, the last dose of the suppressant. It couldn't cure the rage, but it could give me a few more hours of clear thought, enough time to decide my end. I took off my ruined helmet. The toxic air of the moon burned my throat, but the pain cleared my mind. The yellow sky above was thick with Tyranid spores. I drank the vial. It tasted bitter, but the effect was quick. The red haze faded. The voices quieted. I could think again. I made my choice. I would not die as a mad beast. I would die as a space marine, a son of Sanguinius, on my own terms. The main hive we destroyed was only one part of the invasion. The Tyranids had a larger nest at the old governor's palace. Captain Amalphus and his force were supposed to attack it after our mission. I checked my broken armor. The power still worked a little. My Vox might still send short signals. I had no gun, but I still had my training. It would be enough. I started walking toward the colony. The land was ruined. The ground was alive, covered in alien growths that pulled at my boots. Strange bone towers rose in the distance, pulsing with life. Tyranid patrols moved everywhere. Gaunts, warriors, flying gargoyles. I crept from cover to cover, avoiding fights when I could. When I couldn't, I killed fast and silent. As I got closer, I saw what was left of the colony. The buildings were gone, changed into living alien structures. It was like walking into a nightmare made of flesh and bone. A direct attack would be suicide, but I remembered the maps from our briefing, the old sewage tunnels under the streets. If they were still open, I could use them to reach the hive's heart unseen. I found a hatch buried under alien slime. With effort, I forced it open. A foul smell rose from below. I paused at the edge. The suppressant was wearing off. The visions were returning. The red haze crept back into my mind. In my final hours, I knew what had to be done. The Death Company chaplain never cured the Black Rage. He only guided it. He turned the madness into a weapon for the Emperor. But I had no chaplain now. I had to be both the weapon and the hand that used it. I entered the tunnels below, guided more by touch and memory than by sight. My armor's sensors were broken, showing only faint, ghostly shapes in the darkness. The tunnels twisted and turned, half collapsed in some places, and in others taken over by tyrannid growth, alive, pulsing, and horrible. I walked for what felt like forever. Time didn't matter anymore. The drug that held the rage back wore off, and the visions returned, loud, bright, painful. But I fought to keep control. I whispered the prayers of hate that the chaplain had taught us, forcing my fury to stay aimed at the Emperor's enemies instead of myself. Then something changed. I could feel it more than see it, a large open space ahead, glowing faintly with sick light. I had found it, the heart of the Tyrannid hive. This place had once been the governor's palace, but now it was something far worse. The huge chamber pulsed like a living thing. The walls and floor were covered in wet, fleshy growths. In the center stood a massive tower of bone and meat, reaching high into the darkness. It throbbed with life, covered in sacs and tendrils that moved on their own. Around it stood hundreds of tyrannids, big ones, small ones, warriors and beasts, all standing still, as if asleep, waiting for a command. Then I understood. This wasn't just a hive, it was a Norn queen's chamber, the breeding place for all tyrannid creatures. The sacs held unborn monsters that would soon fill the moon and spread beyond. If I could destroy this place, I could stop the invasion and give the Imperium time to strike back or destroy the moon completely. But I had no bombs, no heavy weapons, nothing that could harm the tower. Even if I did, I could never reach it through all those creatures. They would rip me apart long before I got close. As I thought, I felt something touch my mind, the hive mind itself, stronger than ever here. It filled the air, thick and heavy. But this time, something was different. I felt a strange link between us. The Black Rage, the death memory of Sanguinius, burned inside me, and it seemed to hum in tune with the alien presence. A terrible idea came to me. The Tyrannids were all connected through their psychic link, like a great nervous system. That was their power. They moved and fought as one mind. But maybe that connection worked both ways. I had felt the hive mind reach into me before. What if I could reach back? I had no psychic power, but I had the blood of Sanguinius, a Primarch, a being of incredible psychic strength. And through that blood flowed his final memories: rage, pain, death. The hive mind had never faced that before. It was madness, but I was already mad. I had nothing left to lose. I crept deeper into the chamber until I found a shadowed place with a clear view of the tower. Then I stopped fighting the rage. I let it take me. I opened my mind completely to the flood of memories and pain. In that moment, I wasn't Brother Sergeant Darren Vale of the Blood Angels. I was Sanguinius, the great angel, facing his brother Horus aboard the Vengeful Spirit. I felt the betrayal, the sorrow, and the rage of that battle. I felt the killing blow, the talon piercing his chest. I screamed, not aloud, but in my mind, and I sent that scream outward, pouring all my emotion into the hive mind. The effect was instant. The Tyranids closest to me began to shake and spasm. Their psychic link was breaking under the wave of human emotion. The feeling spread like fire, one creature to another, growing stronger each time. The psychic backlash hit me like a hammer. Blood ran from my eyes, ears, and nose. My body screamed in pain, but I didn't stop. I kept pushing the visions outward, the rage, the grief, the dying cry of an angel. The great tower began to shudder. The sacks on its sides burst open, spilling half-formed creatures onto the floor. The tendrils whipped wildly, as if in agony, and I felt the hive mind itself recoil. It was afraid. It had never known emotion like this, never felt loss, guilt, or love twisted into sorrow. The death of Sanguinius was poison to it. I don't know how long the struggle lasted. Time meant nothing. But at last, something broke, not in me, but in the hive mind. I felt it shatter, splinter, and fade. The Tyranids around me collapsed. Some died instantly, their minds burned out. Others turned on each other, roaring in confusion and rage. Even the synapse creatures, the ones that led the others, stumbled and fought blindly. Then the great tower fell. It folded in on itself, the flesh collapsing, the sacks exploding one by one. The Norn Queen was dead. I had won. The hive was destroyed. The Tyranid army on this moon was broken. They would still kill, still fight, but without the hive mind, they were no longer united. The Imperium would have time to strike back or destroy the moon completely. But victory came at a price. My body was dying. My organs were failing. My blood burning. The rage had consumed everything. My strength faded. My vision darkened. And then I saw light. Not the light of fire or pain, but golden light, warm and peaceful. I felt a presence greater than words. The Emperor. Not as the corpse on his throne, but as something vast, eternal, filled with judgment and love. I felt him look into me, into my sins, my service, my sacrifice. I waited for his judgment. But there was no punishment, only understanding. Not forgiveness. The Emperor forgives no one, but recognition. He saw that I had done my duty until the end. As the darkness closed in, I heard a voice, maybe real, maybe only in my mind. Even in death, you have served. And then all was still. So ended the life of Brother Sergeant Darren Vale of the Blood Angels, claimed by the Black Rage, lost on a forgotten moon. No one saw my final moments. No chaplain would write my name in the Book of the Fallen. My gene seed would never return home. But maybe this story will survive.
a warning, and a reminder. The curse in our blood is real. The doom waiting for us is certain. But even in damnation, there can be purpose. Even in madness, there can be sacrifice worthy of the angel's memory. We are all lost. We are all damned. But until our last breath, until our hearts stop, we can still choose how we face it. We can still make our fall serve the Emperor and humanity. Remember this, sons of Sanguinius. When the red thirst calls, when the black rage takes hold, you are never alone. The memory of your Primarch is with you. And in the end, that shared curse may be our greatest weapon. For the Emperor, for Sanguinius, for the blood we share.